What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mohawk Motors. My name is Jason. I'm picking up where the last video left off. I've got to get the intake manifold, electrical, accessory bracket, and cylinder head on this side of the engine off of the Trailblazer, figure out why the rear freeze plug is leaking. I didn't see anything wrong with it when I had this engine apart out of the vehicle, so I don't know why it's leaking, but it's leaking. Try to get it fixed and then get it put back in, get this thing back together, and get this freaking thing started. That's it. I don't have anything else to say. We're doing time lapse because I gotta go grind and get this thing apart and get this thing done. I'm so frustrated right now. I'm gonna try to harness that emotion and just bang out some work. All right, team, I got that head off, and there's the freeze plug that was leaking. And see that little speck of dirt? That's not dirt. That is a hole in the freeze plug. There's my leak. I don't know how I missed that. So I guess I'll have to order a new freeze plug, get it put in there, and then get this whole darn thing put back together again. Man, what a stupid thing to miss. What a stupid thing for me to miss. Attention to details, guys. Attention to details. You gotta pay attention to that sort of stuff. All right, guys and girls. It's the next day. I got the head off last night. I was able to find a set of freeze plugs locally. So I put the new freeze plugs in this morning. I picked them up on my way home from dropping my daughter off. I grabbed those new freeze plugs this morning, got them put in. I've got the head sitting back on the engine. I just copper sprayed the gasket because it was a brand new gasket. The motor hasn't even been run yet. Just copper sprayed it, and now I am putting it all back together. I'm actually, you know, if I had to have a bad freeze plug, I'm glad it was on the driver's side, because I don't think I'd have been able to get the passenger side head off if I needed to. So as much as it sucked to have to do, I'm glad it happened, worked out the way it did, because the engine would have had to come back out if it was on the other side. So either way, let's get this thing put back together and let's see if it'll start up. All right, everybody, it's a couple days later again. As you can see, we got the whole engine back together again. I've got it filled with antifreeze and it didn't come out. So we got that leak resolved. It's filled with oil. The transmission has about 1.5 gallons in it. That should be enough for initial start. All I have left to do is get spark plugs on it. Everything I've read and everything I've seen says these headers have a tendency of just burning up spark plugs. So I got some ceramic coated spark plug wires. Put a new oil filter on it and fill the transfer case with what's the fluid called? I gotta fill the transfer case. And then I think I'm ready to see if it'll start. All right, everybody. We've come to the moment of truth. And I really hope this goes to plan. It is holding and retaining all fluids now. All the electrical is hooked up. All the plumbing is hooked up. I can't think of anything else that needs to be done before this thing is ready to start. I pulled the fuel pump relay. I'm going to crank it a few times just to make sure the oil pump is filled, or the oil filter is filled, and there's oil pressure coming up as soon as it fires over. I'm going to try to start it on the tune that is in the PCM, the stock tune. My thought process behind this is, yes, I increased the displacement of the engine, but I also increased the size of the injectors. I don't think it's going to run great, but I think on a cold startup, I think it'll at least be close enough that it'll start up and run for a few seconds, which is really all I want. I've got the exhaust on it and into the Y pipe. I haven't hooked up from the Y pipe back, so yeah, I can't think of anything else that needs to be done except let's try and see if this thing fires up. Cross your fingers for me. Must have been a little residual fuel in there, but that's a good sign. All right, the fuel pressure gauge came up, the oil pressure came up. So let's put the fuel pump relay back in this thing. Let's see if it wants to start up, and maybe it'll even idle a little bit. All right, we've got too much fuel, so I'm going to update the computer for the injector size and then try it again. Okay, topped off the transmission fluid, updated the injector flow rate. Everything else about the tune is still the same. Let's see if that pulls enough fuel out of it that it'll idle now. There's all my greasy fingerprints burning off. Still doesn't want to idle, so I'm gonna have to make some more tweaks in the tune. All right, take 3. I adjusted the base idle airflow and the desired idle set points. I bumped it up to 1,000 RPM desired idle and increased the airflow. That one I'll have to refine as I go, but I took a ballpark guess at about how much more it'll be, so we'll try it and see. I've got another coolant leak. And it looks like it is. It's leaking out of the freeze plug on the front of the passenger side head. Man, unbelievable. It must have had just enough left that it didn't leak until it was under pressure. Man. I guess I better get underneath it and see if anything else is leaking. I don't see anything else, just that one spot. And this one I can get to with the engine still assembled in the truck. Thank goodness. Yeah, it's leaking again.
Same thing?
Same thing on the other side of the engine. This time it's on the front. I can fix it without taking it apart.
Well,
Thank
good.
God.
Yeah.
Unfreaking
Wow.
Alright team, well, I'm calling it for this video. We've got 90% success. At least it started. I'm sure I can get the tune figured out so it'll idle on its own. I'll grab a new freeze plug tomorrow, get that one replaced. There's literally the teeniest of pinholes in it. It only leaks when it's under pressure. And once I get that fixed, then we can actually really start getting it down on the ground, driving it, seeing what else needs to be done, and having some fun with this thing. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you can see me. And until the next video, take care.